Welcome to Guest of the Year. I'm the host. My name's Mike. This week we are taking a break from the Tournament of Champions to bring you an episode of Guest of the Year Germany. I can't say Guest of the Year has a massive fan base in Germany, but a couple people listened and they recruited their friends, and we ended up with 4 Germans who are playing Guest of the Year with us today. Again, this is not part of the Tournament of Champions. It's just a one-off fun episode. And then next week we'll have heat number 3 of the Tournament of Champions. I was really excited to talk to everyone from Germany, so I didn't want to eliminate people. So I just changed the format to kind of this Tournament of Champions format where I play 5 songs and whoever is closest in aggregate over the 5 songs wins. Prize pack for this week is Grateful Dead tarot cards. Embark on a psychedelic journey into self-discovery and divination where esoteric knowledge of tarot meets mystical symbolism of the Grateful Dead. It includes an illustrated 78-card deck and 128-page guidebook. Really cool, really well done. Not really a tarot card guy, but this was just nice art to have around. Every card was, clearly hand-drawn. Really, really great. Thank you so much to everyone at Simon & Schuster for that. All right, here's how the game works. We'll play the first part of a Grateful Dead live track, and each contestant will use the messaging system to silently guess which year their performance is from. Contestants who are all on a video conference together can message in their guesses at any time during the clip or in the 10 seconds after it concludes. Again, we are doing the champion format here, so 5 songs, whoever's closest. Without further ado, the Grateful Dead. The guesses are in. It was Mississippi Half Step at the Mosque in Richmond, Virginia on May 25th, 1977. Uwe and Frank both guessed 78, and Hubertus guessed 76, and Wolfgang guessed 92. Uwe is 68 from Cologne. Uwe, why did you guess 78?
I know it's a period about 76 and 78 because the tempo. And I listen to Donna in the background. And so that's for me clear. It's from the playing, not the time 1973 or 74, where Bill Kritzman is only the drummer. So this was the ground that I 78.
Awesome. Thank you. Hubertus guessed 1976. He is 61 from Hamburg. Hubertus, why 76?
At first I want to say 77, but I thought it's too easy.
That's a good rationale. Frank guessed 1978. Frank is 57 from Hamburg. Why did you guess 78 versus, I'm guessing, 77 or 76?
After 77, 78, 79, this was for me the kind of pressure they created in their music to go a little bit further, perhaps a bit faster, a bit more shredding, fast forward, kind of. And in 77, actually, for me, the mood was a little bit more mellow. They took a little bit more time to create their, let's say, their grooves and everything. And so I decided in the end 78. Yeah, mostly because I was stuck between 77, 78, 79, and I took the middle.
Playing the game. Great work. And Wolfgang is 65 from Hamburg. Wolfgang, 92.
I only listened to the sound, and the sound was very good and clear, but I didn't listen that Donna is singing, and I'm not good in this. I know that.
Wolfgang, how did you get into the Grateful Dead?
In the 70s was a Europe release. My first show was in the Rock Palace, 1981. The Grateful Dead played together with The Who in Essen. It's in the middle of Germany. And I saw them playing there, 81. And then after that, I was totally, the needle was in. Yeah.
What about the show Sunk in the Needle?
Sugary. The third song, they opened, and then the third song was Sugary, and it's one of my favorite songs. And I'm totally fleshed out.
Who played first, The Who or the Grateful Dead?
First The Who, we fell into sleep because we were little high. And at midnight, the Grateful Dead went on the stage and played until the morning at 5 o'clock, I think. And it was on the television in German broadcast, Europe broadcast, I think, was in Europe to see everywhere you want.
And were there a lot of Americans there, or was it mostly Germans?
I think there was a lot of Americans there because there is the military base in the near of Essen. I'm really young at that time, and I don't recognize the American. Later at the shows, I more recognize that because many Americans traveled with the Dead here in Europe also. When they come in 1990, they did 4 shows in Germany, I think, or 5 shows or 6 shows.
There was 5 shows in Germany.
5?
Yes.
Wow.
2 in Berlin.
2 in Berlin.
I'm at 4 shows at that year.
All of you guys know each other, but do you often run into German Deadheads in Germany?
Not so often, but there are every year a couple of festivals, 4 or 5 times with a Grateful Dead cover band or jam bands. And so you see a lot of people, about 50 to 100 people there on the festivals constantly. And so you see these people every half year.
It's a very small community over here. That's right. But sometimes I see somebody, on the street and with a Dead shirt, and I immediately walk to this guy or, and talking to them. And this way I sometimes really meet cool people, Germans here. And I never met them on one of these occasions, these festivals or something. Just recently, like it was last weekend, actually. This was really cool. I met this guy before, 1 year before. He's a woodworker and he's also an artist. And last year we visited him in Wendland. This is far out in the countryside. And there's a huge festival in this whole area with a lot of artists, a lot of music and everything. We went there again because he's so good in making stuff out of wood. And then my wife went into his workshop with all this stuff he's working on and everything. And there was a Grateful Dead poster. And my wife said, "Frank, come on, you have to see this." And so I went in and, cool. And then right next to the poster was a little steely bolt made out of wood. And then for me, the case was clear. So I went directly to this guy and said, "Hey, you are listening to the Grateful Dead." And so we were like sucked into each other and talking about our experiences and everything we had and what we like. And we also talked about some people we know, but this is really a very rare occasion that we meet somebody who's listening to the Grateful Dead here in Germany, in Europe in general.
So you have to go talk to them.
Yes.
Wolfgang, was there a political significance to the Grateful Dead in 1981?
I didn't recognize that.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to play the next song for everyone. Dancing in the Street at the Family Dog at the Great Highway on February 27th, 1970. Uwe and Frank got it exactly, 1970. Frank, really nicely done. How did you figure out it was 1970?
I listen a lot to 1970. Those jams, like peak jams during the show, Harper College. This is something that went into my veins. I was able to recognize it. The whole instrumentation, how they played, how they went down slowly. This sounded just like 70, and I really like those renditions of Dancing in the Streets during that time a lot.
Thank you, Frank. Uwe, you also guessed 1970.
I have this recording, and in the first moment, I think it was Harper College, but I know it's not so up-tempo in the years 67, 68, and so I know this version is from 1970.
Wow, bravo. That's great. The next closest was Wolfgang, 1968. Very close. Why do you think it was 1968?
I only guess that because of the sound. I'm not good in that, I told before, and I only guess.
Well, that's how all of us guess, and you were very close. So nice work. And Hubertus, 1967.
The sound was not good, and so I thought it's 67.
Sure. So, Frank, how did you get into the Grateful Dead?
Oh, I knew the question was coming. 1989, I was hitchhiking through the States for 4 months, traveling around cross-country everywhere, and I was hiking through Yosemite National Park. And so I was hitchhiking back to San Francisco, where my base was. And a young lady gave me a ride, and she said, I'm going to a Grateful Dead concert. Just come with me. I get a ticket for you. All good. It's overwhelming. You have to come with me. And so I decided to go. I didn't have very much money, but, she was there to meet a longtime Deadhead who was following the Dead for years, and I didn't know that this kind of stuff existed. And so this guy said, "Okay, come on, I get you a ticket on the parking lot." And there was a very young guy with a tie-dye, and he sold me a ticket for $25. And this was a lot. I didn't have so very much money, a little bit painful, but okay, I paid it because I was just there in this, little town with a lot of freaks, deadheads. I didn't know that this following existed, that a whole community was following the band from city to city and everything. And so I decided I need to stay there just to experience this joy. And then I went into the show, and the whole atmosphere got even crazier and crazier and everything. And I gave my ticket, and this guy said, counterfeit, turn around, go back. And this was really a hard time to go back. And all these, radiating faces were coming towards me into the show. And I was like so sad. I lost my $25. And now I have to stay outside. So I went back to the tent. And there was this young lady sitting with the Deadhead guy, and he said it was a counterfeit, right? And I was, yeah, unfortunately, yes. And then he said, come on, take my ticket. It's your first Grateful Dead show. And it still gives me goosebumps when I talk about this, because this was, a special kind of love he gave to me. And so this was really so cool. I went in and enjoyed the show. I stayed there for the next day. And then I, was in the middle of this little group of people traveling to San Francisco after this Cal Expo run, 3 days, and stayed with them a little bit longer. I wanted to stay in the United States then and everything. And this was when I jumped on the bus.
Wow. What a great story. Did you ever see the guy in the tent again?
No, but on Facebook, I was looking for him. I was searching. I had a blurry photo of him, and together with a lady I met there, I fell in love with her the following year, actually. So I was, asking around to who knows this guy. I was telling the story, and then finally I found him. And he got back to me, and this was really nice to meet him, only online via Facebook and everything. And he didn't know about the story. He totally forgot. He was not aware, what he did in the end, because he changed my life, kind of, right? And I was so thankful. I just said, "Hey, Rich, thank you very much," because afterwards I was, deep into the Grateful Dead music, into the jam band music. Then later on, 96, 97, Fish came over and everything. 1990, I've seen a few Dead shows here. And then later I was into radio producing. I did jam band radio shows here in Hamburg then for quite a while, playing a lot of Grateful Dead stuff and jam band music in general. I was diving deep into this scene, although I never went back to the States then to see the Grateful Dead later on.
Did you catch them in Germany?
Yes, 1990, I've seen a few shows. Also in Berlin. I was in Berlin, in Essen. I had a ticket for Frankfurt and I gave it away for 2 Dead shirts because I thought, oh, it's my first day in university, fuck. And then I decided, no, I have to go to university. Hey, what a bullshit, because this first day was just nothing, like only, hello, students, nice to have you here, and then have a nice day. And I was like, fuck, hey, I just, gave my ticket away. But this guy was happy because he was, traveling. He was an American traveling with the Dead here through Europe, and he didn't have the tickets. And so he sold shirts not to get the money for this. And I made him happy, at least.
Yes, paid it forward there, yeah. And you came back and started a jam band radio station?
Yeah, I did it for a few years, and then always two hours once a month. And so I had, quite a time when I even played some jams 20, 30 minutes long. I featured a lot of European jam bands, and when American jam bands came over, I did telephone interviews with them, with String Cheese Incident, Umphrey's Mickey, Disco Biscuits. And then, I went to the shows here and did some radio specials about those bands.
All because that guy was kind to you. Thank you, Frank. Uwe and Frank both have 1 point, so they're the leaders right now. And we still have 3 songs left. So let's hear the 3rd song. So the guests are in. It was Shakedown Street at the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania on April 2nd, 1989. Wolfgang nailed it exactly, 1989.
Too funky, maybe.
So that made you think later?
Yep. But it's only a guess.
I don't know. You keep getting really close with your guesses.
In Germany, you say a blind hand is also finding a corn.
A blind chicken.
Ja.
Oh God.
Blind Korn weiß ich nicht. Zumindest nicht auf Englisch.
Corn? Corn is corn?
Ja.
Grain.
Grain. A blind
chicken finds the grain.
Oh, the blind chicken finds the grain. Nice work, Wolfgang. The next closest was
I'm
Frank,
impressed.
87. What were you hearing, Frank?
Brand. So I had to, focus this on this time. And then I was kind of not really counting backwards, but I've been in Berkeley when there was guys standing in the street moaning that Brand just died last night. And so I thought, okay, a few years back, 89, 88, 87, I didn't want to go further, in the past. So I stayed with 87.
Thanks, Frank. Hubertus, guess 85.
I did the same like Frank, but I go in the past.
Further, no? Mm.
Same idea. And Uwe, 81.
Yes. Actually, I haven't a plan with the year, and clearly it's Brand, but the dynamic, I know it's in the first half of the 80s, and so I'm wrong.
Uwe, how did you get into the Grateful Dead?
Oh, long story short, in 1981, when the Rockpalast concert in Essen was, I was 15 years old and not too allowed to go to concert. And so I looked it at the television. It was my first contact with the Grateful Dead. I look in the show because the Who are playing. And after the Who, I think, okay, take the next band too. And the first 2-3 songs, I think it's very boring. But in the middle of the set, they are playing Shakedown Street, and this gets me on. And then I don't have any chance to listen to the Grateful Dead at this time. 3 years later, 1984, is the son from a friend for my father who was emigrated in the USA. His son come to Germany, and he was a Deadhead. One evening, we smoked some weed, and we listened to the April 28, 1971 Fillmore East show. And this morning due to start the second set, then I was get on the bus. And then 3 years later, I was the first time in America for holidays with my girlfriend. And in a bookshop in San Francisco, I saw a poster of a Dead show in Ventura. I didn't know it before, no internet. And so it was 2 days later. And so we drive from San Francisco to Ventura with the car. And then I can go to the first show of the 3 shows because on the next day was our flight back to Germany. And so I see this show. And it was a great scene in Germany at this time when there is a open air festival. There are many bands, and on this concert, only playing the Grateful Dead. It was normally Friday, and the show started at 2 in the afternoon, 2:00 in the afternoon. That's unbelievable for Germany. So things and this, yeah, and then I become some tapes, and it grows, and 1990, the band come to Germany, and I saw 3 concerts in Germany. And then I wait in a lot of years. They come back until Jerry died. And the next chance to see anybody of the Dead in Germany was 2002 Red Dog in Paris, and Frank and we meet us at this concert, and we know us at this time 22 years. And now in September we drive together to Paris again to see Darkstar Orchestra, 2 shows.
Amazing. So how did you meet at the show? Did you just start talking?
Yes. There are not so many German. Frank was with his wife on his wedding tour. And
Honeymoon.
Genau.
Yeah, I convinced my wife that we have to pass by Paris because, it's just Paris, it's the city of lovers.
Of course.
And I listened to them that they speak German, and so I talked to Frank. Frank and I was in November 23. We were to Billy Strings in Cologne.
Oh.
And to Goose.
Oh.
so shows and the Grateful Dead cover bands too.
What did you think of Billy Strings and Goose?
Wow. Very, very great. Yeah.
That's so great, Uwe. So, and you were telling us before that you have watched 400 Dead and Company streams?
200, yes.
200.
Yes. Not so much.
Crazy, isn't it?
Not so much.
Do you watch them like the next day or something?
Yes. Maybe 2 or 3 days later, I have to look with the work, and they play are very long, and it's a long night, and so it's maybe Wolfgang Frank helft mir mal ein bisschen schwierig, morgens aufzustehen dann.
Get up in the
Yeah,
morning.
to get
Not
up
time to
early
get
in
up
the
in the
morning.
morning.
Genau.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have a big TV and laptop and over the TV, and it's a summer tour. In the meantime, I look it outside the house in the garden.
With big speakers and
Yeah. Yes.
so
No.
it's
the
very
neighbors.
nice for the neighbors, no?
With headphones.
That they can take part.
Yeah. I like John Mayer. I like his guitar playing a lot of people say dead and slow, but for me, it's the right tempo. It's very, entspannt
You're
halt.
getting older, no, Uwe?
For me, it's the right
Very good.
tempo.
Great. Well, thank you, Uwe. Appreciate it. Hubertus has 4, Frank has 3, Uwe has 9, and Wolfgang has 17. All right, I'll play the 4th song.
A deep burning pain in my side. Though I am trying to stay in the cell, I'm getting weary, unable to ride. But my love for Felina is strong, and I rise where I fallen. Though I am weary, I can't stop to rest. I see the white puff of smoke from the rifle. Feel the bullet go deep in my chest. Felina has found me, kissing my cheek as she kneels by my side. Cradled by 2 loving arms that I die for, one little kiss and Felina goodbye.
The guesses are in. It was El Paso at Kezar Stadium in San Francisco on May 26th, 1973. Hubert, you got 1973 exactly. Nice work. How did you figure it out?
It was the young sound of the voice of Bobby and the piano of Keith. And I think, I know that they played it in 73 a lot of times.
Smart. Very smart. Uwe and Frank both guessed 72. So they're only 1 year off. Frank, why did you guess 72?
I wanted to guess 73, actually. That was Hubertus, like you, the voice of Bobby, the sound of his voice, and then Jerry's, dancing around with his notes, with his playing. Jerry's, no, he was this kind of like playing around this tune. I was thinking 70, 72, 73 was the sound like this.
Great. Beautifully put. And Uwe, you also guessed 1973.
Yes. The voice of Bobby. It was a young Bobby, and Keys. Yeah, and for me, it's a vibe of Europe 72 at the end, and so I think it's 72.
Sure. And Wolfgang, 82.
Don't ask. Only a guess.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Before we go on to the 5th and final song, unless there's a tiebreaker, Huberto, how did you get into the Grateful Dead?
It was 2015. My wife, she was singing in a gospel rock choir, and she asked me about the songs she had to sing. My wife is a good singer, a very good singer. And she asked, Proud Mary. I say, okay, I YouTube, Creedence Clearwater Revival, and then they had to sing Dancing in the Street. And I said, Martha and the Vandellas. I played it for her, and then I saw Grateful Dead, Dancing in the Street. I knew the name of the band, but I never care about it. And so I have a listen, and I was hooked. I think it was May 77, the Cornell show. I looked into YouTube and looked more and more, and I began to, how should I say, I began to love those guys. When you see 1989, they are standing with their clothes, Jerry in his schlabber shirt, and I love him. He looks like a penner, like a bump, and he doesn't care. And I love this. And I love the music and I love the lyrics. And you see Jack Straw, for example. This is a little bit something out of my life. I lost my son. And the feeling, Jack Straw, that this is how I lost my son a little bit, you know. And all these songs, they sing the lyrics, I love it. And you find yourself in these songs, and this is what I love. And I never was at a show. I had a lot of CDs, a lot of. I have a very good stereo, good speakers, good amp, and stuff like that. And when I turn on, then I have a good sound. And my neighbors listen to the Grateful Dead whether they want or not, you know. And when you come home from work, I'm a carpenter, then you sit down and you want to relax and you listen to the music, or Jerry Garcia Band and Grateful Dead. That's what I'm listening to and nothing else. It's enough. You don't need no more.
You said you were a carpenter. Do you listen to the Dead while you work?
Sometimes when there's easy working, but it's often very complicated what I have to do, and I have to avoid mistakes, and so I don't listen. When I'm listening, I don't want to it's not elevator music, you know. I want to listen. I sit here and then I listen. And when you have a good stereo, then the sound don't come from that and that speaker. It comes from all about. And you have something like a Bühne. Was heißt Bühne? Stage. It's like a stage, and it's like they are standing in your room. They are playing in your room. And if you have a very good recording, it's like they are standing in your room. And I love that. I sit down and then I listen. I relax and listen, and I love it.
Yeah, and it seems like you derive a lot of meaning from the lyrics as well.
It's not easy if you are not born with the English, you have to look for the lyrics, and if you read it, then you understand it better than when you're listening to it. And you can also translate it, and when you understand the lyrics, then I think it's most of the songs I can sing with. Most songs I know by my heart.
Thank you, Hubertus. Well, there's still one more song left, and let's go to it. Song number 5.
the morning dew, my honey. Can walk you out in the morning dew today.
Why stopping?
We need another 5. We need another 5 minutes.
It was Morning Dew at William and Mary College Hall on April 15th, 1978. So Frank wins. Frank gets 1973, and he was closest. Frank is the winner. Why 1973?
Jerry sounded much younger. First, I was thinking like, the dynamic again, like 77, 78, something like this. But then I decided to go a little bit further in the past because of his voice.
Everyone else was much higher. Everyone else thought it was towards the end. Uwe, 87.
I refuse to testify. Yeah, I have actually I have no plan because I waited for the keyboard, and there was no keyboard in this part. And Garcia's voice is timeless for me. It's not so significant as Bobby's voice. Yeah, too hard for me.
Great. And Hubertus 90.
Yes, I think the voice of Jerry is a little bit rough. And I think 78, there was a show, his voice was gone away. I think in November, there was a show, his voice was gone away. And therefore I love the Dead. They are, and somebody else would cancel the show, but they do it. This is the correct way to do things, I think. I think in case of the voice, it was later.
I agree. The show must go on. Thank you. And Wolfgang 93.
Because of the voice of Jerry, for me it sounded a little more than the later shows before he died.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, sure. Frank, congratulations. You're the German champ of Guest of the Year, the greatest years guesser in all of Germany, the national champion.
I thank you, Mike. Really cool idea to set this up.
Thank you. Thank you again to Hubertus, Uwe, Wolfgang, and Frank for coming on Guest of the Year and speaking so eloquently and in such a touching fashion in their second language. That was a special one. Thank you, guys. And thank you again to Grateful Dead, the official Tarot deck and guidebook. It's available in the link in the show notes. 78 cards and 128-page guidebook, all in one package. Thank you again to Simon & Schuster. And thank you for listening. For all the links, including our YouTube channel, go to guesttheyear.net. If you want to be a contestant on the show, sponsor the show, or make comments and ask questions, email us at info@guesttheyear.net. Shout out to Dylan for drawing the poster, and James and Jack for helping out behind the scenes. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to the amazing tapers whose recordings made this show possible. Congratulations to Frank for being the National Guest of the Year champion of Germany. Speechless over here, as I'm sure he is. And to the other contestants, thanks for playing, and remember, es ist sowieso alles ein Lied.
And I bid you good night, good night, good night. And I bid you good night, good night, good night.